Hello everybody, it has been one of the mornings on YouTube. Did y'all notice the lovely squawker I had on my last video last night that said because I can actually do a video here and there on YouTube, I must certainly not be disabled, although I have a terminal diagnosis that affects my organs. I'm going crippled, and when I work I have to drive a 3-hour loop because I live so rural. And even though I've tried to do multiple jobs from home, I actually still do a little bit of transcription from home that I have to report to the state because I can only do like 3 jobs a month. And we're starting to question that because I'm starting to have hand tremors because of the RSD. So, you know, I don't get paid for these YouTube videos. It's just something I enjoy doing. And it helps me feel useful, which when you're disabled it's a huge thing to feel useful because you really think that all my useful days are all behind me, you know, and I went and got this great education and I can't do anything with it. I can't help anybody anymore. And this has really helped me feel useful. But my channel is not monetized. I think I have 920 subs. I have no ad revenue. Nothing's been monetized. Nothing's been approved for ad revenue. So, you know, I understand that there are unmonitored youth that get on the internet that do stupid things, and I believe that's probably what we saw this morning. And it's okay because it's a learning environment. It's a learning educational tool for others, so that when we want to have discussion about why disabled people are so terrified to talk about their disability and talk about their daily lives, we can go, and here's why. This is a great example of why. We have 2 or 3 good days in a month where we want to do something useful, and this is how we're targeted and this is how we're treated. And I have no problem being the person that steps up on the soapbox and says, fuck that. Because if I'm having a decent day when I have suffered through 3 weeks of agony, I deserve to do something that makes my eyes bright and makes me smile and makes me feel useful. So
y'all can suck it as far as I'm concerned.
I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do what I need to do emotionally to feel happy and secure in myself. And just because I'm disabled, and just because I have a poor prognosis, and just because I know there's a shitstorm ahead of me, it doesn't mean that I can't do something today that makes me smile and help someone else. Even though there's stupid people on the other side of the screen that are going to try to use some kind of irrational thought process to say that I should be able to work my 70-hour work weeks that I was working because I can do a couple of videos in a week, or, you know, sometimes I go for 2 months, students don't see me. It's just my health dictates. But, you know, there's stupid people everywhere, and they seem to congregate on YouTube because they can fight through a keyboard without having to disclose their identity, and that's cowardice. And, you know, I'm okay taking cowardice on. But in today's video, what I want to do is I wanted to, you know, just kind of give you some ideas. People ask me all the time, Elizabeth, how do you catch on to people that are lying? How were you so good at catching fibbers when they were lying to you when you were a parole officer and when you were doing counseling? It was actually very easy because you train yourself to look for specific things. Like when I was a parole officer, I would put a bowl of candy on my desk because that candy would tell me with their body language what was going on in their world. A heroin addict will look at a bowl of candy and put a piece in their mouth, and their mouth will make very specific movements. It's almost like heroin affects the jaw in some way. It creates a very specific jaw mechanical movement that you don't see it prevalent in other people that have other drug addictions. And so I could automatically know a meth addict is not going to take a piece of candy. They don't have enough teeth. And that's sadly the truth. You know, we can giggle at it, but it's sadly the truth. An opiate addict would take a piece of candy, and if they were ready to talk, they would start to unwrap it, hold it, start to get it, clench it, put it to their other and clench it. I knew that they were having a problem and that they were trying to discern if they could talk to me or not, and so I would try to open up a pathway for them to talk. So there are all these ways that you can tell, and it's purely nonverbal. Really 90% of what we communicate is nonverbal. And so starting to learn how to pick up on these things is really beneficial, especially if you're somebody that, you know, has a status that other people like to manipulate or abuse. You really need to be careful who you let into your circle and who you trust. So this is kind of one of those areas to where you can learn these specific behaviors and learn to look for them and learn to apply them into context, into the environment that you're seeing them displayed, and say, okay, should I really take heed of that? So, one of the first things is that we understand that when we're watching body language and we're thinking about what people are telling us, we're looking for deceit. We're looking for deception. Deception in body language is mirrored with narcissistic tendencies and people that have like a super ego. Narcissists, everyone has an ego. Egos are actually healthy things, but when you have a narcissistic personality, you have a super ego that really fails to recognize the rest of the world and the rest of the world's plot and what everyone else is going through. So narcissists have this huge ego that does not accept anyone else's ego because it is the only ego that is on the face of the earth. And because they have this ego, they make grave errors when they're communicating. But if we're talking about deceit during conversations, we're talking about narcissistic tendencies or people that are true narcissists. So always remember that when we talk to somebody, it's a contextual situation. It is always situational, environmental when you're talking to somebody. What's being discussed, where it's being discussed, with how many people it's being discussed with. All those things play into how people will respond. So you have to understand your context clues socially as well as the clues that you're looking for the behavior itself, because it can change or augment what it means. And we're looking for tells. When we're looking for these context clues and we're looking for the people to show a physical behavior, that's a tell. And anytime that somebody's being deceptive, it's going to require a physical tell. Their body has to present it somehow. It always does. You just have to learn how they're doing it. The easiest thing to start to pick up on is hand movement. Hand movement is part of communication. I've got a phone in this hand, but you notice I've been giving you information the entire time. I've been accentuating and giving you the information. Liars normally use their hands after they make a statement, and that's because they're thinking when they make the statement. So liars are really bad to tuck those hands in the back pockets and go, well, back then, on that day, I think I was, and they're formulating their story in their mind because they have to follow a map of some kind. So normally the map is in the mind. So they can't use their hands because this takes coordination and thought process. So we stop the hands, and they normally tell their lie, and then they use their hand movement, like they'll put their hand up like this and go, I believe on that Saturday, when that happened, I was actually out feeding the cows, and I didn't know about that until about 9 or 10 at night. Yep, that's it. That would make me go, okay, well, I need to pay attention to what he's saying. Because obviously, if I had just been feeding the cows, remember, I'd have been like, I think that was around 9 or 10. I was with the cows in the barn. 9 or 10? Does that sound right to you? That's kind of normal, how a normal person would do it. But because they froze, thought, went to an internal thinking mechanism, into a map, and then at the end accentuated. Why are we accentuating something that would be such an easy, fact to tell? Hand gestures are an afterthought. They forget to use them because they're so caught up in that story, and then they're like, oh crap, I need to use my hands. It's an afterthought. And when they're learning to manipulate you, they're learning to manipulate you completely non-verbally with their body. So narcissists and liars don't even have to verbally lie. If you see a pretty girl at the roller rink and you walk up to her and you're like, do you want a soda? Can I get you a soda? Would you like for me to get you a soda? And she goes, you're going to take that as there's a possibility. Yeah, I'm going to buy this girl soda. And, at the end of the night, she's going to go home and you're going to be like, well, I thought we had a connection. I thought we were having fun. Can I see you again? And she's going to be like, I never spoke to you. I didn't tell you to buy me a soda. You just bought me a soda. I don't know what you're talking about. All I did was sit over there and fix my earring, and the next thing I know, a soda popped up. Guys, I know you've had that done to you before. It happens. So they're learning to manipulate you, even with just little, body movements like that. No words are needed for a good manipulator. So, fidgeting. Fidgeting. When you lie and you're trying to be deceptive, you get nervous. When you get nervous and you're not a skilled deceptor, you kick on your body's central nervous system, because our bodies are autonomous. They do things automatically. So when you start to tell a fib and you start to worry your body and kick in that anxiety, your body starts to go, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. And the engine starts going a little bit more, and we start to fidget, and we start to do things like this and scratch. And lots of times the body's, one of the quickest ways to know if somebody's being deceptive is if they're itching or they're fidgeting, because when the body flushes, it tingles. When that blood is flowing because you're flushed, because you're concerned, because you've been caught, you think you've been caught, or you know you're lying and you're afraid you'll be caught, you get the body tingles and you start itching, you start moving, you start doing this, you might have to fix your earring, you might have to scratch. You become uncomfortable, and so you can look for those little signs. They'll have itches. So like if you asked your best buddy if he had spent 3 hours on the phone call with your best girl. Dude, I can't believe you would ask me that. Oh my God. No, I wouldn't do that. Bro, come on now. I wouldn't do that, man. God, that just makes me mad. You got a problem with your bro. He's been talking to your girl because he got a little flushed, a little irritated, and his body told on him. And they're not thinking about these things. Now, a true manipulator will pick up and they'll try to limit these things, but, normally in just casual conversation, they're not thinking like that. They're just trying to fib, and you'll catch them before they'll catch themselves. They don't like to make eye contact. They'll normally look away if you ask them a question, because making eye contact when lying, a good liar can, and that's when you know they've deadpan crossed to the dark side. But somebody that is still learning and is still kind of in that emotional, I don't know if I want to commit to this role or not, they will look away. So look for people that don't want to look to you. People that you press for information, if you think they're lying and you start to press them and you start to see you're agitating them, the lip pursing, the blinking. This says you're in my space, you're in my emotional space, you're in my physical space, and you're making me mad, you're agitating. This needs to stop. It's a sign of I'm about to get aggressive and you're making me mad and I'm uncomfortable. Please stop. And then it goes from there. When they roll their lips, or like you go, hey, have you seen those new shoes I bought at the mall the other day? God, I'm so old. I just said mall. And your girlfriend goes, no, I don't think I have. When we roll those mouths and we do that, that's a mission. So she's saying, I don't think I have. I'm not going to tell you that I borrowed them and I got them really dirty and now I've got to go and have them professionally repaired and cleaned. So I'm not going to tell you that. So when we see that, we know there's an omission. They're not telling us the whole truth, or they're hiding something. They're withholding something. Lips and rolling of lips, and they physically are trying to cage that information. That's what that means. And we do it. We don't want it to come out, so we barrier, and that's how people do that. Cupping the mouth, lip movements. If you ask them something like, did you seriously have a fling with my boyfriend and when we were still together? They're either trying to stop emotions or they're trying to think up a lie to tell you. Either way, there's something to that. There's something that you need to know. There's some kind of deception there. There's something that they're not letting you know that you need to know. Now, when people's color drain, like I'm white as a sheet all the time because I am literally one potato famine away from the most Irish person you've ever met. My mother got my grandmother and great-grandmother's beautiful Cherokee olive skin and raven black hair, and so did my brother, and I came out looking like my Irish father. It's not fair. Anyway, when you start the blood moving because the engine's going faster, because now you've upset your body because it knows you're actively trying to deceive somebody, that's when you start seeing flushing changes and stuff like that. Mother Nature's great. She'll help you spot a liar. When they squint, they swallow hard. Oh, man, I can't believe you don't believe me. I mean, dude, we've been friends since kindergarten. God. I mean, that's pretty obvious. When they squint at you and they're like, I didn't tell you that. I told you that I hadn't seen her. That means believe me. I don't believe myself, but I need you to believe me. So I'm going to do my John Wayne Clint Eastwood face, and you're going to believe me. Normally, if you have to do that to me, I'm like, what are we lying about? And they normally give up really quick. That is kind of a precursor to then, why don't you believe me? I told you the truth. I told you I didn't see her. And then we start with the, I told you I didn't see her. Why? And we got the eyebrows going up and we got the voice going up. Normally when I would see people and they would, Miss Waters, I didn't say that. And I'd be like, yo, eyebrows down and we'll talk about it. But don't you dare come at me with the eyebrows up like that. And I know once the eyebrows go up and the voice goes up, it's aggression, it's intimidation, because there's deception or something that you don't want me to know. I call it high eyebrows. It's a huge sign of dishonesty. Word cues. If people start the phrases with, let me be honest, let me be real, truth, bro, for sure. Question everything they say after that. And some people will do that anyway. Some people just try to turn it into normal speech. But if they don't normally use those patterns and they're telling you something that you probably need to question, and they go be like, for sure, no really, sure, for sure. Question everything they say after that. When we pause to do like, those are pauses. If they're being deceptive and you're seeing the other traits, those are pauses to get the story straight. Do not give people pauses to get the story straight. Press them. Then you will see them kind of break and fall. When they make a slip up, it's normally a 2 or 3 word slip up. They'll be like, well, I saw her. I mean, I didn't see her that night, but I saw her the other day. And I was like, dude, did I see her that night or the other day? But I remember now it's the other night. You hear the slip up, and then you hear the correction, where they're trying to convince themselves and you that they didn't just say that. That's a great time to go, okay, wait, you saw her when? And where were you? And who were you with? And what happened that night? And who took who home? And it will eventually break. Now be careful when you do that to somebody, because when their story, falls apart, they will become aggressive. You need to be careful. All of these things are great to use in just casual interrogation. Like cops use this in big interrogations and big investigations. This is really great to slip into your casual conversations, just to start to learn to question people and to question their motive and their momentum that they bring to you. When people severely lie to you and they do severe deception, it's normally because they have a bad plan and they want to really cause you some kind of severe pain, or even psychological abuse begins with deception and lying. So we need to be careful when we're dealing with people that are capable of these behaviors. And remember that everybody has an ego. An ego is healthy. It's the people with the super egos, with, the super overwhelming force of I am it. The world rotates for me. I get up and crap out the sun every morning. Watch out for those people. And they have to maintain being the center of attention at any cost, whether it's a cost to them or you. It is ego-driven. It is more important for them to have that physical and emotional payout, where they get that dopamine and adrenaline rush, than to have a friend, than to have consistent, constant, and loving support that they can cherish and find safety in. They're very much about the chemical boost that they get from this deception and this control that they have. They're normally perfectionists. They can't go out and look just haphazard. Like today, I think I look cute. You can go back on some of my videos and I look like somebody threw me out of a van at a get-go. Because what I have to say is more important than what I look like. So I really don't care most days. On days I feel good, I try to look nice. But these people are such perfectionists that they have to have everything perfect. They won't go out into public unless they feel it's perfect. They have an image to project. Everything they do is an image. Everything that they do is a creation of who they want to be, not who they are. And when you get into relationships with these people, you get sucked into that. And so you're all the time wondering, is this the real you? Or is this the image that you try to maintain? And really only time will tell, unless you are really paying attention to these cues and trying to pick at it and figure out what's going on. They like to exploit people for their own amusement, for their own emotional gain. So they'll put you in a bad scenario, or they'll tell you a really horrible story that like has really horrible events in it, where you're like, should I tell this to the police? Should I report this to somebody? And then they'll wait and see how you react. And it's really fun for them. Like for us, it's like, are you psychotic? Yeah, they probably are. Sociopathic? Yeah. Psychopathic? Possibly, you know. It's really fun for them to see how people respond. Because 9 times out of 10, people go back to them and go, well, what do you want me to do? Oh, power. I just got more power. I told you a horrible story of which you could have done 15,000 things, and you came to me and asked me, what should I do? I have you. Hook, line, and sinker. Now the power trip really goes. Now they've got you. Now the games begin. It's not a good scenario. Watch out for people that do this to you. These people like to be current. If they can't be current, and they can't be important, and they can't be the fixture that is everything to you, they will be upset. They will be aggressive. They will make things fall apart. They will create emotional scenarios to where you have to come back to them so they can feed you more of their, confidence and tell you what to do, because now you've come to them and they guide you, their wisdom. It's all a farce. But they keep this emotional feeding circle going to where you have to come back to them to see what you need to do again, even though the reaction you had that was bad came from them, that made you circle back and go, well, what do I do now? Well, you tell me another bad thing, and then I worry about it, and I try to act on it, and it makes me upset, and then I come to you and go, what do you want me to do? And you tell me another bad thing, and I know Jen Psaki says we circle back, but we need to learn to not circle back in those scenarios, because those people are just doing that for emotional entertainment. That means you probably don't mean a whole heck of a lot to them, but you are pure entertainment. They don't really bond with people that they control. They don't really bond with anyone really well. And they break when the gig is up. They literally just have to walk away and disappear, because there is no coming back from what you have discovered once you figure out everything they've been doing. They normally go, gigs up, I got no way to explain this, and it's really bad, and I just need to disappear. See ya. And then they go, and bless their hearts, they go and they move on to someone else who doesn't know about what happened, that doesn't, can't identify people that have witnessed any behavior. So now they move on to somebody else who is just going to hear gossip. And you would believe gossip instead of me? But I'm a sweetie. They just abused me and used me. And I'm just looking for somebody to be my friend that would, really be there for me, instead of use me like those other people and then throw me away. I was hoping it would be you. And now they've got their next victim. So watch for these things. Pick up on these things. These are small little details that you can really start to build a little bit of a profile on somebody if they start to repeatedly use these tactics. And if you find yourself constantly in emotional upheaval around somebody, remove that person from your life for a little while. Give it a 2-week break. Did the emotional upheaval continue without them? No. Well, then why does it continue when they're there? What do they bring? Would you have been in that scenario or worried about that scenario if they weren't there? Well, why is it important for you to worry about that? Why is it important for you to bring them back, to have that brought back, for you to suffer? Ask these questions, because lots of times we will sit and stew, and it's in our own juices. We could have gotten away from it and stopped it a long time ago. But because we want to be kind and gracious people, we allow it to continue. I know a lot of people go, well, my mom, my dad, my cousin, my grandpa, they were great people, and people went to them, and I know that it was the burden of everybody else that took them to their grave, but the community respected them and loved them, and they were great people, and I want to be a great person like them. What you just told me is that while you recognize that someone you loved was emotionally ridden to their death like a Pony Express gelding, you're willing to saddle up and be ridden to your demise too. Because you want to honor the person in your family that the community adored. You can be adored without being taken to your grave by the stress of others. You can create a respect and a boundary line that protects you and the community. And a lot of people will appreciate that too. You can say no without being the evil witch from Hades. And if you're consistent, if you're kind and you're consistent, and when there's a chance you explain that this benefited everybody, a lot of people will take a step back and go, oh my God, I hadn't thought about that. Thank you. Yeah, no, that was a better option. Appreciate that. And I'll respect you even more. And sometimes honoring those that we've lost, that we've loved, is not about pure imitation, but it's about looking at what they did, doing what they taught us to do better without the negatives that perhaps they couldn't quite catch or curtail in their lifetime. You know, using our smarts, using our map, and understanding that we can, we can play the same tune, but we can tweak it, make it better, is in no way dishonoring the memory of somebody that you want to carry on. I think they would probably even send you a little sign that they were impressed with, how much effort you were putting into honoring them appropriately without harming yourself emotionally. And that's a really big thing. As you can see, even if you just try to be a nice person, there will be people come out of the woodwork and attack you like they did to me this morning on YouTube. And I don't know who Matthew was, but Matthew's obviously having a very difficult morning. And I wish sometimes that I could be like a genie and shut my eyes and snap my fingers and give somebody my health woes for about 2 days so that they would understand what I deal with and what I have to go through. It's a pain in the butt. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. At the same time, I have to think that there's a reason for this. And so I'm just going to do everything positive that's possible while I have the energy to do it. And I'm being blessed by meeting so many wonderful people. And I don't really even mind the banter that I have to have with people like that if it leads me to positive interactions and good people. So, I'm going to cry. I always cry. I've been a crier lately. It's not a good look for me. But, the last 24 hours has been an eye-opener for me. And I know that I'm able to help people even if my body is not helping me. I still have my brain. And I still have this ginormous mouth that God gave me. And I'm going to use it. And I hope that the people that come here that can use the information that I give and use the tactics and learn to understand how to control themselves and their emotions and their environments a little bit better can have a much better life. And that's all I want. I want people to be happy, and I want people to have the best life possible. So, and again, if you're having constant issues with people and you're combating people emotionally, you feel like you're under duress or attack, please go see a provider. Go talk to your doctor. Call the mental health line on the back of your insurance card. Look up a 1-800 number if you're having any kind of, horrible thoughts. Reach out. Somebody loves you and will help you and support you through finding an avenue to better yourself and to take care of whatever may be going on. Chemical imbalances are nothing to smirk at. They're just like physical illnesses. They're real. And, reach out through the comment section. I know that any of my YouTubers will be more than willing to help pop up a number. And I'll also put some in the description link just in case you need immediate help. It's going to be there for you. I'll try to do the 1-800 numbers. There are ways to learn to control yourself and your environment and your emotions, and to learn to feed off the energies of others and to minimize the negative consequences you have from coming into contact with emotionally manipulating people. I want to help you see those, and I hope this video did a little bit of that. We'll go more in depth next time, because this is about as long as my attention span can go, and I'm sure it is for you too. So MommaLiz out. I'll be back, God willing, body willing, in a day or two. Bye, y'all.